Hello, everyone! Welcome to another episode of Ninjagocast. I'm Sensei World.
I'm LJ.
And I'm Nesso!
Alright, well, Prime Empire has ended, so today we're going to discuss the last 4 episodes, the season as a whole, and since we got the next wave of Ninjago sets, we're going to also talk about where the show is headed. But first, how's everyone doing?
I'm getting by.
Getting by?
How are you?
Sensei World. You got to thank Braggy for that one.
Yeah,
All bow to Braggy.
we gotta talk about that in a minute.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
Don't
Not
keep
the Sensei World part, but I World kind of has a ring to it, you know?
Aldra, are you doing okay?
No, Maso, I'm very irritated.
Why?
Because the thumbnail got goofed. So,
Oh, yeah.
apologies to everyone. Because we were on time. Technically, we were a little bit late, but, you know, we were earlier than this. We spent a whole 2.5 minutes starting this off private. Because, of course. Because I've had 15 minutes to get this ready. So, that should be working now. Looks like we got people in the chat. So.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm waving to the people in the YouTube chat. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us.
Let's see. I absolutely detest the new YouTube layout.
Yeah, no, it's garbage. It's hot friggin' garbage. I don't know who thought that this was a good UI. I don't know who thought it needed changing, because whoever thought that should be fired.
Yeah. It should be changed now, or at least it will update in a minute.
Yeah, it should eventually.
Okay.
Because I changed it on our end. So.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, this is gonna be a jam-packed episode.
Yes,
we have a lot to discuss.
A lot to cover.
First, as per usual, hit us with some plugs and also talk about your thing going on Twitter.
Oh, so what's going on? The whole Eye of the World thing, if you're wondering what that's about. Braggy, he is one of the writers for Ninjago. He took over after the Hagmans sadly departed. I mean, I can't say departed because this is Ninjago, but they left Ninjago. So Braggy has been doing competitions on Twitter. They're usually art competitions. Draw a character, post it. Most liked pictures will go into a poll. Winner of the poll wins a signed poster. Well, since we're all kind of stuck at home at the moment, he had a unique competition of baking and designing a Ninjago cake. I love baking and designing cakes. I've done it like for many, many years. So I decided to make a coal cake because you can't have a cake without coal. And I had to put in some ingenuity with this one. So the cake on the top, it's got like the dirty green, like the ghost green that dominated Cole for seasons 5 through 7, and that's kind of trickling in to his actual uniform, and he's got his scar, his green scar that was in season 7. But on the inside of the cake, if you cut into it, which I have some pictures posted online, it's a marble cake, and one layer of the cake is orange and the other layer of the cake is green. That also goes along with Cole's themed colors. And
it's pretty epic.
It was pretty epic. It took about 5 hours to do the whole thing, decorate, etc., etc. And by golly, that cake tasted amazing.
Very nice.
It was gone in like probably 4 days.
Very nice.
So, but yeah, so I it was Earth Day a couple days ago, like a week ago, and it was my 22nd birthday, so it was like it doubled as like a birthday cake for me. So, but yeah, so it got 155 likes, which is crazy, and so it made the poll, and so it's one of the 4 finalists. So if you
go vote,
go vote.
Go vote. You have till Friday.
You have till Friday. Yeah.
But Braggy misspelled your name.
Yes, Braggy misspelled Eye of the Wolf to Eye of the World,
which is funny.
So, Very, very funny. So,
But yeah.
so yeah, that was a fun thing that I did during quarantine. And yeah, it's for the Ninjago community, so you all go and vote for your favorite cake. Doesn't have to be mine. I would
But
love
it
it if it
should
was
be.
mine, but it doesn't have to be mine. There's some great cakes in the competition, so
Look at you being all reasonable.
yeah. Like the person who's in first place right now, Ghosty Poke. Hers is the map of Ninjago, which looks really cool. So, but yeah, we got some creative people on the cake stuff. So yeah.
All right, now the other plugs.
Well, we got the other plugs. What other plugs do we have?
Our plugs.
Okay.
Some great plugs.
Yes, great plugs. Is
Do you not remember?
no?
Patreon.com/the TTV channel. $1 a month. You can get access to the exclusive Discord server.
No,
Beginning
it needs
and
to be
end.
both. Honestly,
Okay,
if we're doing it properly, it
I
should
thought
be
it
beginning,
was-
middle, and end.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Just this entire episode is just going to be us plugging. But yes, we have a Patreon, $1 a month. You'll give you some access to our Patreon Discord server. We have a Minecraft server that has a map of Matanui, Voyanui, and some other cool little features. And you can follow us on Twitter uh, at the TTV channel. You can get notified for the next episode of Ninjago, some other fun stuff that TTV is doing, and so on. We also have oh gosh, what's it called?
Message boards.
Message boards. That's what it's called. We've got message boards at board.ttvchannel.com for Ninjago related discussions and other Bionicle stuff and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. I thought we had like news, like go check out the Bionicle competition that is, I think, going on.
I mean,
Not yet.
yeah, we still
That
do
might
have
be
that.
going on soon.
Yeah.
On
It's going to start in about a
fill
month.
in the blank date. Yeah, in a month. There we go. I know a lot about this. I'm very
Very knowledgeable.
invested in
You did so well last time, Haley. You did so well, and now this
Top
time
10 anime
it
falls
was-
from grace.
it was like watching a horse trying to walk downstairs.
I'm ready for it for the end. I didn't realize we were doing plugs. Are y'all messing with me?
No, we do it at the beginning and the end.
I have
Yeah.
never done
What?
plugs at the beginning of the
What?
video. I don't even remember.
You literally did last week.
Did
Unless I'm just insane.
No, I've never done plugs at the beginning.
All right, I'm checking.
Yeah, Sensei World is not doing very well so far. We might
No
need to call
kidding.
back
Sensei World sucks.
Bruh.
Thanks.
All right.
Well, at least Sensei World did her, whatever it's called, and Sensei Dareth did not.
Listen,
You guys have never done plugs at the beginning of
Yes,
the
we
videos.
have.
I feel like you're messing with me.
no, we definitely have. I can attest to this, given that I.
Let me ask you this
former sensei.
question.
Oh boy.
What use? Let me ask you a logical question.
No.
What use is advertising your stuff if you only do it at the end of your 1.5 to 2 hour long podcast?
See, that makes sense.
Think of their attention.
That does make sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of retention, we
continue
should
on.
get this show on the road and start talking
before
about
we do,
the
we have a
subject
lot
matter.
to go on. Yes, Prime Empire is over. 16. I almost said wonderful, and I bit my tongue. We've got 16 episodes, and we're going to talk about the last 4 before we dig into the season as a whole. So, LJ, episode 13, take us away.
Okay. All right. So, episode 13, Ninjago Confidential. The episode starts off, and it's a dark and dreary night. The year was 2020 in the city of Ninjago. Our protagonist broods over the city on a pier. That's basically how this entire episode is. It's just Zane monologuing in an old, like, 1920s style kind of investigation, like, mystery novel, mystery show, and it's absolutely fantastic. Everything's black and white, except for the few instances where Pixel's going, "What are you doing? What's going on?" "Well, you see, I've downloaded a lot of tapes to make sure we're successful in this investigation," which makes perfectly logical sense to me. So, they go to a place. It seems like it's a bar in the seedy part of town, which, of course, said bar is run by the best ninja ever, Dareth. So, they're there to try and figure out what's going on because presumably one of Milton Dyer's pals works there. So a fight breaks out because it's a bar. That's not a surprise. It's well done. They talk to the dude, and they find Milton Dyer. And also get the snot kicked out of them by the friggin' mechanic. I think that's his name?
Yeah.
Okay, I always want to say he's the machinist, and he's not. So, kicks the snot out of them. They take Zane, and Pixel has to pick up the hat to figure out where he went. That's the end of the episode.
This episode was brilliant. It was so funny, and kudos to Brett Miller for pulling off the voice. I honestly didn't recognize him at first, but
I feel like this is the exchange. This is what had to happen. Sorry, Brent. So Zane is just not in the season, basically whatsoever. So we'll just give you an entire episode and a half to just mess around.
This is the second chapter. He's barely in. Poor Brett Miller.
He owns it with the limited time. This episode was freaking phenomenal.
Oh my
god.
God.
It was a nonstop laugh riot, and it catches you so off guard because like they customized the intro. Even they like have a jazzy rendition of Weekend Whip, which is
I
great.
want a full length version of the Weekend Whip as like a jazz.
We probably will on the soundtrack.
Oh, please.
Help season soundtrack. Chima beavers, as Magic points out, are just living in Ninjago City.
Boy, oh boy.
I love that.
Pixel and Zane's dynamic really made it happen, where she was getting aggravated and everything. It's a nice way to show that these two have personalities before it leads into the next episode, which it's important in. But yeah, I loved how it was able to switch back and forth between black and white and color. I thought the whole episode was going to be in black and white, but they did a fantastic.
They do it at times when they want to make like impact or transition, like to regular people going like, "What's going on?" And there's this one scene where like Zane walks around Pixel, and then the colors like dull back right when he starts speaking, and it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah,
this was a highlight.
Oh yeah, funny fight scene when he's like narrating where he's gonna punch the guy and the guy keeps blocking him.
Fuji Dub's brother.
Fuji Dub's brother. Oh, that's a really
pretty epic
brother.
As far as the standalone episodes are concerned, this is probably like in the upper echelon, or at least in like the better ones, especially for this season. It's probably one of the only ones, right? It's this one and I guess the Okino episode, but even that was relevant to like the game plot. So this is one of the only ones that's like, hey, we're gonna do something completely different with a completely unique style.
Yeah.
And they do it very well. I basically have no complaints about this episode. It was funny, it was creative artistically and in concept, and it progressed the plot because they find Milton Dyer at the end.
I have a complaint.
Shoot, and yeah, now that you mentioned it, I have two, but you go first.
It's a friggin' beaver at the beginning. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, guys. Every single time I think I'm free from the gripping talons of Chima, it comes back to haunt me.
You can't escape, Elja.
How are they even there? I thought
they escaped. They may have sent them back, but I'm sure like one or two ran away.
Yeah, there were a lot of them, so.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
So I have about 20 questions, discrepancies, and or like general weird plot things for this season, two of which come from this episode, so I'll just tell them now. Number one, why did the mechanic go through the trouble of capturing Zane and then somehow tracking down the ninja's like base, somehow finding the secret entrance that even like Asphira struggled to find, knocking out Wu, capturing Wu,
Right.
and then using Wu to blackmail Zane?
You're
I know this is all the
thinking-
next episode,
Yeah.
but just work with me. Why didn't he just take Pixel when she was right there in this episode? She was right there. They shocked her. She was basically helpless, but he left her only to then in the next episode go get Wu.
I have an answer for that.
What?
And that's that the bad guys felt bad that Wu was not in the story a lot, so they're like, let's go get this guy.
All I'm thinking is this episode, like, she's there, she's helpless.
she's his love interest.
If anything would be good to blackmail him with, it'd be her. My second little quibble is has Milton Dyer just been living on a roof for 30 years?
Yeah,
feeding the pigeons.
That's my biggest question with this, is that she came up and he was like, you found me. I was like, you're on a roof. How long have you been on this roof?
Or how long has he just been chilling in the secret like catacombs of this building?
And he's on a roof. Like, he's not even in hiding. If they had just flown over, like, oh look, there's a homeless guy on the roof. Let's scan his face and see.
This
Milton
hobo
Dyer?
Dude has a private island with
Right?
a security system. Even if people know where he is, they can't get to him because of the security system. He can just chill on the island. Why is he living in this shack?
If anything, the arcade thing should have popped open and gone to the basement to give us like Tron vibes. And he's like hiding in a secret basement underneath Buddy's Pizza.
Yeah, he could have had like a whole like living chamber, basically. You know.
But nope.
I don't know.
Gets the roof.
It's a weird thing, and I couldn't take it serious. Like the whole way through, I'm just like, so you know, at the end, it's like you could go back to the roofs. Like, I don't know. It's a problem, but other than that, it was a good episode.
Also, Buddy's Pizza does not look good from the last time we've been there. Buddy's Pizza was the place the ninja met Lloyd when they were turned into kids. From season 2, yeah, child play.
Yeah.
Does not look like the same happy place with the weird beaver dude. You know, there's a weird guy in that episode. If anyone remembers it, this guy with like a beaver mask, it just kind of came back to me. I have no idea who that was.
Bruh.
Anyways.
But yeah, other than that, it was a great episode. It's one of my favorites this season. Easy.
Yeah, very creative, and I want that theme song as a full piece. So yeah, all right. Shall I move on?
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get the screenshots because we watched these like days ago. All right. Next episode. Oh, whoops, wrong picture. You know, get the heck out of that picture. I don't need you here. Okay. Next episode, The Prodigal Father. Episode starts off and Wu is in the Ninjago base. He sees a break-in happening. He tries and fools the folks. Or no, the folks try and fool him. They fool him to knock him out because that was friggin' easy. Meanwhile, over with Pixel and Milton Dyer, they're freaking out. Meanwhile, back with Zane and the mechanic, who... This is a setup with a lot of terrible potential. I mean terrible for Zane. That this can end very, very poorly for him. He is a machine. It was hinted at in, I think... Oh, heavens, what was it? It was one of the earlier seasons, I think shortly before the Hagmans left the franchise. So this could be very... very worrisome. In any case, they've tied up Zane, they have Wu, they're in some secret place, and so Zane and Pixel are trying to figure out where. Flashback time, we see Milton Dyer in his younger years testing out the game, and look who it is. It's a playtester. It's Scott. Scott gets to 13th level. He goes inside. And that's the last we see of Scott for 30 years. So, back over with the mechanic. He's trying to threaten Zane, be like, I'll kill the old guy. I'll do it. I'm going to sneeze on him and he'll die. And Zane's like, no, don't. I'm a robot. I'll survive the virus, but he won't. Here's the hard drive. And the mechanic's like, ha, sucker. I wasn't even sick the whole time. So he plugs it into some gate that they have. They plug Zane into the gate, and lo and behold, you have a gate. And the episode ends.
This episode was an odd one.
Yeah, it was.
I don't like what they've done to Wu. Yeah. He basically has like no purpose, and he couldn't even like face off against the mechanics thugs. He got fooled by like sleeping gas and a cardboard cutout.
Like I said, those guys infiltrated the base easier than Asphyra and her entire snake army.
This is the thing I don't understand. How are these guys this large of a threat? They are this proficient, they are this successful, and yet they're only they aren't even sets. They're not minifigures that exist. None of these characters are actual proper minifigure pieces. They exist only in the realm of this show. That means they're not prominent. They're definitely not primary antagonists, except for here, where somehow they are, and they're not stupid.
I have a lot to say about the mechanic along those lines. I'll save it for later, but trust me, I agree. It's a problem. It's a problem. I think it's time for Wu to retire.
Taken down by generic bank robber people.
Yeah, I think it's time for Wu to retire. He's basically worthless. The main thing about this episode was it was twofold. It was number one, the manifestation gate and the logistics of how that works, which we already all kind of knew, but
we will get to that later.
Well, I mean, in this episode, he explains it, and he's like, we captured all the people so we could, quote unquote, use their energy to make the gate to send people out, and it works the exact same way as somebody being sent into Prime Empire. The mechanic says it's just the same thing, except in reverse, as if that actually explains how it makes any sense. But anyway, we also have the important conversation between Milton Dyer and Pixel, which is pretty much the only form of setup that we get for the finale. So treasure it, savor it.
Yeah, treasure that.
It's precious. Pixel's conversation with him about like, you know, what is life, about how like even robots can feel life. You know, how humans just have code too. It's just like biology. And then of course the flashback. Yeah, I know I know that's controversial logic, but that's what the show's pushing.
Yeah.
And then of course we have the flashback with Kid Scott.
Yeah.
I can't take that conversation at face value because we don't know how these two are made. Like the only two robots we're actually interacting with are potentially cyborgs. And a cyborg is different from a robot. A cyborg is it is a organic organism that is enhanced substantially by robotics, by machinery.
Well, Pixel started the series as fully robotic. Like she was literally she wasn't a cyborg, she was just
That's a good
robot.
point. Pixel is a robot.
But Zane, we don't even know what is like the only thing organic or like the only humanity that's in Zane, I believe, is his elemental powers, which kind of gives him like his, I guess, personality, like his sense of, you know, being human, his heart, his power
his
source,
life force, something now, like that.
Pixel is a little more interesting because she, in the very beginning, in season 3, before she got Zane's power source, she was very like very robotic. And then as soon as she got the power source, she began to act a little more human. But the power source is gone now. So I don't even know.
Like what?
So one half of the power source exploded when Zane died. The other half was in Pixel, and I'm pretty sure it's gone now because Pixel's body was destroyed or taken apart on Shen's island, and they had to rebuild her a body, or she rebuilt her a body in season 7. So
But
the
you got it
power source
back,
is
right?
gone. I don't think they got it back because
He
Zane
had to
didn't
have
grab
though,
anything.
because he has elemental powers.
Well, when they rebuilt him, he doesn't have his like hit one half of it exploded. Maybe Pixel gave it back to him. I don't know. We haven't seen that other half yet. Um,
Something, it
there's
doesn't
something, yeah,
explode, it just finds its way back to who it's meant to be with.
maybe,
You know,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a good explanation, but fact of the matter is he can
They're
control
different.
ice, he has his
Yes,
powers,
he has his powers
so he
for
has his
some.
power source.
So those two are very different. When it comes to like their emotions and feelings, definitely different from the Nindroids. Who are other Mr. E? We don't really know much about him, so we don't really know
I
if he
forgot about
has.
Mr. E.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Don't go down that
In,
road.
yeah. Echo Zane also is the same way.
in any case,
Yeah,
it's an interesting conversation. I don't think the season ever had a snowball's chance in a hot environment
yeah,
and solving or discussing
No.
because it's just not set up for it. The setup for it
hmm
honestly was rebooted. So
yeah.
we're gonna need to
Rebooted and
wait.
yeah.
We'll need to wait and see if they readdress it. Unfortunately, gonna I'm not gonna entertain it because, as has been well discussed, I'm not exactly about that perspective. Robots are robots. Even
Is love canon
no,
between those two?
even our native property Lego theme Bionicle, they are robots. They are
Yeah,
they're biomechanical beings. Don't get me wrong. So in that instance, they might be cyborgs, but
yeah,
predominantly they are mechanical, and they have it was like 85% mechanical and 15% organic. Like their heart
yeah,
is a machine. They have organic lungs and tissue and stuff like that. So it's
yeah.
they are whatchamahoo's. Yeah, their brain is it's
Look,
mechanical.
Yeah.
I like
So,
I like this show. I like this series. And I like the stuff it tries to do. But the fact of the matter is that this topic is the way they're presenting it is very simple. It's very simplistic. Far more complex, nuanced, and deep series, movies, games have tried to tackle this topic of, can robots be people? Can robots have souls, free
mhm,
will, etc., etc.? To see Ninjago's like baby version of it, basically
mm,
it boiled down to humans have code too. I'm like, I mean,
yeah.
I get it for the purpose of the story they're telling, and I do kind of have to accept it considering one of our main
hmm
characters is a robot.
If
But consider my eyebrows permanently raised at the entire
yeah,
concept.
the only way they can solve it is I think they have to go back and show the beginning of Zane and like how he got his powers, how that would have changed him and
Which
stuff
they
like
never
that. Would have
will.
probably they never will
If
since
they
they
were
gave
interested
us
in
like
doing
hints
that, they
at
would
it.
have done it before.
Yeah, so we're probably not going to get that. But they used this conversation to entertain the idea that Milton Dyer had no idea that his creation or his game had quote unquote feelings, like Pixel and Zane. So that like we know that the NPC players are individual. Their programming allows them to make their own decisions and have emotions and feelings and change like what they were designed to do, which Milton Dyer had no idea he had done. And of course, this comes with uh, unnamed adventure game number 1, aka Unagami, which
It's really smart.
that's clever. Kudos to that. I thought Unagami was like a very like
dumb.
mystery name. It was very
I thought it was
mysterious. It
dumb.
was like interesting Unigami. Like, that's a cool name. But there's actually like it's the first few initials of the actual program, which had
Somebody
music.
playing a movie in the background.
Yeah, my dad had music, and my dog came through the door.
Bruh.
So loud.
Thank you, buddy. But yeah,
No,
so
it's very smart. I like how they creatively wove that together.
it's better than Mystery.
Yeah, okay. You're right. I'll give you this one. So that was basically the gist of the episode. Pretty much all the Zane and the mechanic stuff.
Mm-hmm. This is the only
I have
setup we
distaste.
have with Milton Dyer pre-finale. Consider this. Consider that as we move on to the next episode.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to the next episode then.
Yeah.
Alright, episode 15. Yep, come on, pictures. There we go. The Temple of Madness. So the episode starts off back in the game, and Jay and Nia have reached the Temple of Madness, otherwise known as the flagship set for Ninjago's New Wave. So they're making their way through more booby traps, and eventually get inside. And it's a nice little calm eatery. It's not calm. Nope, definitely not calm. The food is alive and the people have knives. I mean, they would have had to have knives anyway because, they work there and they're chefs. But still, the food has jaws. It is trying to attack them. It's kind of like shadow leeches from Bionicle. That's what this reminded me of. Except they're not trying to suck away your light. They're just trying to eat you. Then
Shadow sushi.
3 more chefs come out, and the 2 ninja do battle with them and absolutely mop the floor with them. So they keep going. They find the place where you put the katana in, and whomp, whomp, whomp. Nia is dead, leaving Jay all alone once again for Skybound Season 2. So she gets cubed because one of the guys threw a mace at her, which gotta hurt. And Jay makes it to the end, which is the portal, which conveniently is open now. And he comes face to face with Unagami. And Jay's like, I'll take you down. Unagami's like, no, you won't. Jay's like, yeah, I will. Unagami's like, I'm a dragon now. What up? And Jay's like, I'll still beat you. Unagami's like, bye. And he goes through the portal as a giant dragon. So Jay's like, I'll still beat you. And then the army behind him's like, no, you won't. Jay's like, oh no, I'll still beat you. Fight starts happening. He's trying his best. He's getting overwhelmed. And then he remembers something that everyone in the audience has forgotten. By everyone, I mean me and Haley and Masso.
And me.
He has a dragon of his own. And I totally forgot about this because it was a set. So he calls upon the dragon, and it's blue because it's Jay. Wipes out the army, and he's like, I'm going to stop that guy. And he goes through the portal, and that's the end of the episode.
This one was really good. I liked seeing a lot of the Jaya dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It was in full effect. My one complaint is that I feel like they beat the sushi boss a little too quickly. It was very, very fast. He was the final threat they faced. Like, it took them longer to beat the sushi than it did the sushi chef. So it was a little anticlimactic, but the fight itself was really good. Like, dodging the chopsticks in slow motion, using Minecraft logic to cut up the sushi. Just cut them in smaller pieces. It's like fighting slimes.
Well, technically, they didn't beat the sushi chef boss because that's how Nia dies.
Yeah, it's true. So it was very good. There was a lot of good action with the temple and the fights and all that. But really, a lot of that gets lost in the shuffle because the moment that you have Jay come face to face with Unagami, you're like, all right, this is it's moving into the finale now. And you start to get a picture for where things are going to go through the conversation. Because Unagami's like, I need to get out, I need to find my maker, and I need to confront him. And that's his motivation. He doesn't want to kill everybody. doesn't want to take over the world. He's like, I need to find him and I need to confront him. And Jay's like, oh, so you're like, you just feel abandoned?
Oh, you're not Milton Dyer? This whole time we thought you were Milton Dyer, but you're actually not? What?
Yeah. And we'll be talking about that a lot, but in the context of this particular episode, I think it worked out pretty well. It was a good confrontation. Yeah. It was a good balance of like talking and action. My one annoying thing is that like we had to go through Jay piecing the puzzle together of Unfinished Adventure Game 1 after we just had Milton Dyer explain it in the last episode. So watching him catch up was kind of annoying. And Unagami's even like, I have already said this, you know, because he's there right at the gate, and then they had to have Jay like piece it together. So it was like killing time a little bit, pace wise. But you know, this episode was fine. It set things up. It had some good action.
Mm-hmm. We got, for the first time, we got to see some personality come out of Unagami.
Yes. I'm being deliberately like cagey because I don't want to discuss it without the full context of the last episode. So for this one, I'll just say it was very predictable that Mia would also get cubed. So we can now put a cap in it. This was quite literally Skybound 2.
Yes, literally.
The exact same order and everything.
Skybound, except it's in the act. It's like real time. The ninja will remember that Jay was the one who did everything.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think, El, to this episode? Because that's pretty much all I got to say on it.
I like the episode's action. It had a lot of great action, which is really cool. I thought that the conversation that Jay had with Unagami was good. It was a good tip of the hat to Jay's past and prior seasons with his family and all of that. Good tie-in. And of course, ties directly into Skybound, of course. All very fine. All very good. Also, definitely, like you said, felt very rushed. It was kind of quick. Like, all right, let's move this along. Thank you. And yeah, Nia, we all saw that happening. There was just... As soon as Jay had the dragon, Nia was toast.
Yeah. Bye, Nia.
But yeah, no, it was a fine episode. I think it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes illuminated by the finale, so I think we can move into that, and then we can discuss everything.
Yeah.
All right.
That's gonna be fun.
Episode 16, Game Over. Episode starts off, it's another beautiful sunny day in Ninjago City. The skies are up in the sky and the cloud... Wait, fudge, dang it, I messed it up. Hey, get that teleprompter fixed, Jerry! The clouds are up in the sky, the sun is shining down upon us, and up looks like there's a giant yellow beam shooting out from some random building in Ninjago City. And now, everyone is under attack. Yet another normal day in Ninjago City. We're going to die. So... everyone's under attack, giant beam, Ninjago City is about to come under fire, yada yada, usual, same old, we get it. We find out that Clutch Powers is fine. He's totally alive. Nothing happened to him yet. He's just here. Fair enough. So everyone starts coming out through the portal and not really walking out either. They just kind of get plucked out of the world and dropped into the real world. So the mechanic and all of his goons, instead of celebrating, being like, yeah, we did it, they run. They run, all of them, gone. So Jay comes through the portal with his cool dragon. He helps everyone out, explains the situation, and then flies off to fight Unagami. Giant dragon battle ensues. Jay thankfully realizes, oh hey, I have my power back. Time to die, Unagami. Meanwhile, we see all the citizens of Ninjago being harassed and attacked by a multitude of people. But Okino is here. He's in the real world, just like he wanted. And he's fighting them off. Stupid rat people. So, everyone is trying to get to the top of Borg Tower. So Jay needs to get Unagami to go over there. He's fighting Unagami. He lands. They have. I think I messed it up. They have this conversation here, the whole family conversation here, and
Yes.
not in the last episode.
Not in the last episode.
Okay, my bad. So they have that conversation. Unagami's like, "Stop it," and Jay's like, "But look, it's your dad." And Unagami's like, "I want the picture change first." Unagami's like, "Dad, is that you?" And Milton Tyre's like, "I'm your father. I didn't realize that I was your father, but I am the father." And then the whole crowd goes crazy, and it's actually not Ninjago. It's an episode of Mari. So in the end, Unagami's like, "Hi, Dad. Let's be friends." And Milton Dyer's like, "Okay." So all of the people from the game and who were players in the game, they get freed. And everyone that was an NPC has the option to either stay in the real world or go back into the game. So thankfully, all of the unsightly creatures, like those stupid friggin' rat people, they go back into the game. Stupid, ugly piles of garbage. So they go back into the game, and everyone else, they stick around. They're like, "Hey, how's it going, party?" And the episode ends with Jay and Nia reuniting, and Milton Dyer and Unagami walking off into the sunset to go write their names in a Minecraft book. The end.
Oh my gosh. So this episode wins the prize for the most shocking moment in any Ninjago finale.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, not at all. Not even close.
They go to continue their lives on the roof.
Let me show you my house. You live on a roof? Yes. The
I
birds.
can see the whole city from here.
I mean, I can't. It's a really small roof.
I think you were the only person that was like so shocked by this.
Oh, I was
conversation.
Shocked. Literally, the moment when Jay pulled his hood off and started talking about his abandoned parents, I got chills, and it's both good and bad chills. Bad because it had no setup, but good because it's like the first time he's talked about this, like, in the show.
Yeah,
it was like a taste of old Ninjago in the mix of the new stuff.
I mean, it was a complaint. One of my only complaints about Skybound was how, like, out of nowhere, it was that like Jay's adoption thing wasn't really relevant to anything, and it never was addressed again, and it really had no lasting like impact.
It's what helped him overcome the whole issue with beating the wishes in the end.
I know, but like it wasn't really
It never came back after that season.
I appreciate that this is that this happened. I don't. Okay. Full disclosure, I'm very conflicted about this season.
Yeah.
And especially about this finale, because I think just for once, I think it would be refreshing if I was able to just watch a finale to a season and be like, this was good, and just like not say anything else about it, and not have any weird issues with it or any problems with it. Unironically, the last time it happened was Possession, which is weird. Possession was the last finale that I didn't have any like problems with, but it also had the advantage of being a two-parter, so I don't know. This one, I feel like its ideas are very good. I feel like what it tried to do, it tried to subvert the Ninjago formula. It tried to subvert everything in terms of how a villain would normally be dealt with, by having just a conversation, by relating a personal struggle to Unagami, by bringing back some history from the franchise to have it be relevant. But the problem when you try to do bold new things like this is that if they come out of nowhere, if they aren't properly established, then you rob pretty much all of the impact. And unfortunately, that's what happened here. Pretty much all of the impact was was completely robbed, and I felt absolutely nothing aside from surprise that, kind of with you to a lesser degree, that he would even bring up his adoption.
Yeah, that's why
I
this
did
is why.
not feel the emotion I was expected to feel for
Yeah,
Unagami. It did not
or for
land,
Jay, or even for Jay. Like
even
I
for
was so
Jay.
overcome by shock that if they had set this up, they even mentioned like Nia and Jay talk briefly about the parents, or they just bring it up somehow. So when he talks about this, you're like, oh dang, man, that's like he's right.
Maybe it'll be relevant.
Really soft. Yeah,
It's
it's soft.
planting the seed and then watching it pay off.
Yeah,
We got the payoff, but they never planted the seed.
yeah.
See,
So I was more surprised they would mention it rather than I was like, oh, this is a good heartfelt connection. This
Mhm.
makes sense.
I mean, I feel like the seed for us was planted in Skybound 1 because we knew all of this stuff. I feel like for new
Yes.
audiences, then it comes out of nowhere. Then it's like, oh, wait, what? Like if you
I mean,
started
yeah.
with the reboot, then you're gonna kind of be taken back.
Hmm. Same
Well, I
case
wanted
with
to.
Harumi.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Let's remember all the kerfluffle that happened before season 11. How
Yeah.
they sent out this big press release, how they changed up the distribution model, and they were like, "We're gonna do a soft reboot. We're gonna like mix things up. We're gonna usher in a new era of fans." But I think
Mhm.
that now that we're in effect 3 seasons in, even though season 11 is counted as one, like 3 story arcs in, I think I can pretty much conclusively say the experiment's been a failure because they haven't stuck to it.
Mhm.
I didn't want them to ignore the old lore. I wanted them to respect it. Ignoring it was a concern of mine. However, making it accessible for new people is supposed to be the goal. New people, new viewers would have zero idea that Jay was adopted. They would have zero clue what Airjitsu is when they used it a few episodes ago.
They would
They
have
would have
no idea
absolutely
who
no
Harumi
clue who Harumi is.
is.
That entire scene would make like negative sense. So
Yes.
if you're whether the episodes are good or not, if your purpose is to make it more accessible for new people, then in my opinion, it's categorically not serving that purpose. And I would have much appreciated for new and old fans if they had done like a little bit of a reminder, maybe integrated the adoption thing through dialogue.
Yeah.
So it could be like, hey, maybe this will be important. And then new fans could actually maybe get the impact it's supposed to have. But they
Which
don't.
LJ, I see where you're coming from when you say that they started the seed in season 6, and if this, if we didn't get that like soft reboot where you can tell it's a completely different structure, everything's kind of all over the place right now. If we hadn't have gotten that, this probably would have landed better because we have the sensation of everything being super connected to each other like it was previous before season 11. But with this season, we needed that reminder either at the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, like just some hint at maybe this plot point will be explored in the future. Usually like shows will do like they'll mention something in the beginning of an episode, a piece of dialogue that might relate to something that happened in the past in order to make like it's like a little like reminder, oh hey, this happened, so that when they get to something that connects to it later in the episode, it's like, oh, okay, I see why they mentioned it earlier.
I
But
mean,
because this came out of nowhere, I like I said, I was just
I know
completely,
what you're talking about. I've
yeah.
seen shows that do that. I hate it when they do that because it's
Yeah.
so transparent and
Mm-hmm.
broadcast. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm very glad they did not go that route. Gosh dang it, that
Yeah,
would have drove me nuts. However, there is a degree of correctness. It should have been a little more established.
that they could be even headed in that direction. We
Yeah.
did get a tweet from Tommy. Can we talk about that? About
Yes.
a possible connection that would have come is that Milton Dyer could have worked with Jay's mom, who is slated as Libby. Uh, Libby Gordon, which is not a canon name, but that's what Tommy calls her, and that they worked together on this project, Unagami.
She powered it
Unnamed.
because she's the
She
elemental
powered
master
it,
of
yeah.
lightning.
So,
According to Tommy, this was a plan for this season that did not materialize. So we might be seeing some residuals of that in terms
yeah.
of like how it relates to Jay's like parents.
Mm-hmm.
That just didn't like
Which,
cut.
yeah, it adds on to the whole thing about this being J season. Um, Unagami, in weird terms, could be like Jay's half brother. Um, so, and we maybe Milton Dyer could have brought up, maybe there are like posters of her inside the game that Jay is like, what the heck? Why is she all over this place? Like, why is she here? Does it make any sense to find out the truth that maybe his mom worked on the game, and leads him to thinking that there's more to his mom that he didn't know, and then alludes to Unagami saying I was abandoned, and he's like, well, I was abandoned too, but maybe there's more to that story that is positive rather than negative. But they scrapped the whole Jay's mom being a part of it, probably left this thing that Jay said to Unagami because they needed some way to calm him down, and ended up being a left field play. So,
I mean, look, I think at this point, this was the bulk of the episode. At this point, we're just in full season mode, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't talk about this finale in a vacuum.
yeah.
So, speaking in terms of the full season, I feel like it was a little bit, poorly done from Jay's perspective. It was also poorly done from Unagami's perspective. Not the connection. I feel like the idea is there. The idea is good. There is some relatability there. The problem is, you can talk about, Jay, how long it's been since we got him established, however long we want, how long ago it was. But the fact of the matter is, we did get him established. When you look at Unagami, he literally appeared in one scene before episode 15. One scene. And it was like, well, not one scene, one episode rather. And it was the episode with Okino. That isn't enough time to establish somebody with such like deep motivations. You could make the argument that's not even enough time to establish like a villain in general appearing in like one episode and then just being absent for the rest of the story. But there have been some shows or movies that make it work with the villain working in the background. It's exacerbated when your villain is non-traditional, when he's not just, a bad guy who wants to destroy everything. Because at that point, you don't really need to introduce him. You don't really need to set him up any more than just a basic understanding of he's evil and he's going to do stuff now. Unagami's not evil. Unagami is a misguided, abandoned computer program. You're meant to feel sympathy for him, not intimidated by him or afraid of him. But because he's the villain, the one scene they showed before in the Okino episode where he was talking to Okino, you got zero indications of his deeper personality. He was just a bad dude who wanted to defeat the ninja, and he threatened Okino. And that's it. And then he's gone for the rest of the season until he has the one encounter with Jay, and Jay's like, I don't think he's evil. And it doesn't work. I'm sorry. I see people talking about how Unagami is like one of the best villains ever. I think he's one of the best villain ideas ever. But an idea only goes so far. You need execution. You need development. When you're gonna take a risk, you have to do the work. And like literally all it would have taken. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm not asking for it to be a whole big focus. Just one more scene. Just one more scene with Unagami. That's all you needed. He appeared in episode, what was it, 7? And then again in episode 15. Have him appear in episode 10. Have a scene of him doing something. Have him talk to Racer 7 like he did to Okino. Have him do anything. Just give some hint that there's a deeper part to this dude. than just evil computer that wants to get into the world. You don't have to spill the beans. You can still wait to have Milton Dyer be the one to reveal the truth in the flashback or whatever, if you want to do it that way. But just head towards it. Just plant that seed, because without it, I don't care. And that's sadly the emotion that I have at the end of all this is I don't really care. I felt more sympathy for Notakon than I do for Unagami.
Honestly, Notakon's such a good villain. But
I feel like, which is ironically the other J villain. I feel like that's an example of how you do it right, because they introed with his deeper meaning, so you understood it all throughout, and then you watched his descent into villainy. They tried to do the opposite here, where he's just evil all throughout, and then they reveal, he's just feels abandoned later on, but it comes too late. It comes literally in like the last episode.
A similar villain who has like the same treatment is Sensei Yang in Day of the Departed.
Yep, very
he starts
similar.
Off as very villainous, easily like someone who definitely wants maybe not the best for the ninja, and then at the very end he says something that catches Cole's attention and realizes that he's just misunderstood. I think they do a better job with that because Yang never attempts to actually hurt Cole. He's just trying to distract the ninja from what he's doing. So we don't really we know he's doing stuff that's bad, but we also know that he's doing it in his best interest, not trying to hurt the ninja or whatnot out of spite.
Yeah.
So his turn to being quote unquote good is definitely more believable than Mr. I'm gonna scream at my NPC, look all scary, turn into a dragon, look at me, I'm a bad guy. And then immediately he's like,
pull the sympathy card.
I think he's a good guy.
He had no reason to think that he wasn't straight up evil, but he immediately makes that connection. I forgot about Yang, but I actually do think that Yang was handled better.
We all are forgetting about Day of the Departed.
When I have to admit that Day of the Departed did something better, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's sad because there are aspects I do like. I like the intention. I like the idea. The relatability to Jay is good. The acting is really good. When he turns into the friggin' kid, even though that makes no sense, it hits you in the feels a little bit because of the facial expressions. You see a little kid saying that you abandoned me, and you're like, "Aw." So it kind of works. It's not like it's an abject failure, but I see people saying he was like one of the best villains ever, and I can't agree. I cannot agree.
I'll have to agree with you on that. Unagami's great. I love his design. I think his design is easily one of the best designs for a villain in Ninjago. He looks so cool, and his abilities are really cool that we saw. But yeah, we needed more from him. We needed a lot more from him. So
now, in terms of the rest of the episode, the biggest takeaway is the ending. Because we have all the residents from Prime Empire except the rats and the red visors and I don't know whoever else chose to go back.
I think it
are just part of Ninjago now. They're just
So let's talk about the physics of these gates, because it makes sense in terms of all these people who went into the game got to come out of the game. The NPCs get bodies out of nowhere. Are they actual bodies? Do they have flesh and blood, or are they made out of code, or are they robots? They just
the logistics of this? I've spent the last 3 days trying to think about the logistics of this, and it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain to try to think about. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough.
Yeah.
I can't even go down the town. I can't go down that rabbit hole. I give up. So the only thing I will say in regard to that entire discussion is I do not accept that a video game can manufacture flesh and blood.
Yeah.
I do not accept that unless they reveal next season or in a future season that this had magic involved and that magic was the power source behind this
Yeah.
game. Then I do not accept that these people have regular bodies.
If
So they must be
Jay's
either
mom,
mechanical or something.
yeah, if Jay's mom was a part of it, I would have been like, okay, elemental stuff. Maybe they can do something with that. I'd be okay with that. But
I can't even
I
hand wave it though, because if I've said all along, if the bodies were just chilling like comatose in the arcade cabinets, it would be fine. If they were plugged into a VR machine, it would be fine. But they get freaking digitized,
yeah.
which means that when they get sent back to the real world, if I don't accept that they can create bodies for the NPCs, then I also can't accept that they could create bodies
Yeah,
for the
decreate and
people who
create.
went in, compose and like decompose and then recompose organic matter. So does that mean the ninja are now code people?
Yeah. Dark Technuva has the same point that I try. I actually try to do research for the same thing happens with Tron Legacy, where the guy literally gets materialized into the game. He made a girlfriend who was in the game, and then the girlfriend and him got out. But they never explain that. They say that they like materialize or something like that. But they have like a system that like scans them and like I think warps them in. But I like I said that I want to hand wave it, but there was just so many people that came out that were NPCs. I I can excuse the people because that's like video game stuff. They get sucked in, they can get sucked out. You know, energy cannot be destroyed or made. It can only be like rearranged or
But you
moved.
have like Okino.
But you have Okino, and you've got Seven. You got all those, you know, red visors.
It's difficult because I don't expect the show to tackle like physics
Yeah,
and the first law of thermodynamics and all this insane stuff in a show for like kids. So part of me wants to be nice and just like hand wave it, but at the same time I can't because it's the premise. It's not like some little nitpicky detail.
mm-hmm.
It's the premise, it's the plot, it's the ending, it's everything, and it's
Yeah,
really difficult for me to think of any kind of a scenario where that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. It hurts my brain. Categorically, I can say I do not like it. As much as I like that Okino is now just like a character, the fact that it happens does screw with me a lot
yeah,
because he can't be a real person. He can't be a robot because he just warped into existence. It's not like there was a body for him to go into. So he must just be some like abstract code being that doesn't need to eat and doesn't need to sleep, which seems a little disconcerting to me. But that's the only solution I can think of. Secondarily, before I forget, another little quibble I had. So Unagami makes the gate, right? And he's like, all
mm-hmm.
right, cross through the gate. You'll come into the real world. Um, Back in Okino's episode, where Unagami wanted him to betray the ninja, Unagami is like, the gate will still be built, but you will never see it. Never! But Okino comes through anyway? How did he get there? How did he get through the gate? And if your answer is he didn't get through the gate, if your answer is he just got teleported in, because it seems like that's what happened, because a lot of people came through, didn't
Yeah.
realistically get to the gate, then why did you build a gate if it's not? Are you following me?
He built a gate, and then as soon as the gate happened, all of a sudden the entire population of NPCs were just electrocuted into the.
They don't even
Yeah.
walk through, they just zap in with lightning. The lightning just pops people in. Or at least it
I
does with the
didn't
red
think about
visors
that.
and the rats. I guess the end people do come through the gate, but that's all the people who were made into cubes. They're
Yeah.
the people who walked through the gate. Okino didn't come through the gate, I don't think. I think he got zapped in. Which also begs the question, if the cube people who were powering the gate walk through the gate, then how's the gate still open? If the power source came
Yeah.
through?
Yeah. And how is the gate still functioning? Because all the people came through and they were like, yeah, we're going to go back. So they went back through the gate. That shouldn't be functioning because all the people are here.
I would love to say again, I don't care, but I can't. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. No
Yeah.
aspect about this makes any kind of sense. And I don't think it ever will. So I don't expect it to. I don't expect the creators to have some like magical explanation. I'm just gonna probably have to accept that there is no explanation because it borders too much
Yeah.
on like real science and implausibility. So I will accept it and move on, but unfortunately, it's still a con. It's
Yeah.
it's still a con.
Ninjago has been pretty good with like keeping most things grounded when it comes to like how things work. There are a few hiccups throughout its series, like how T can release from a bag and swirl around to make a portal. Or how 40 years and how Elemental Masters age and whatnot. But this is like it's a video game season. It revolves around the idea of Prime Empire. It's so big, like it's so integrated in how the season works that it's not like a hand wave of a continuity or something.
If I can't accept how the thing works, that's not only the vehicle for the story, but the setting for the story and the villain for the story, because Unagami is the game, then what part of the story am I supposed to be like, all right, this is awesome, this is cool? It all falls apart under like just a bit of scrutiny. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have more to say on the matter, but I guess like not on this, on a separate subject.
Yeah.
But before I like go into it, I guess as a whole, just on this finale, on the ending, and how it all like strung up together, what
Mm-hmm.
did you two think?
Um, I really enjoyed the finale in the terms of I liked how they did something different with the villain rather than just saying epic battle, defeat Unagami, throw him back into Prime Empire and turn off the game forever. It
Agreed.
was we got to see like the idea of emotions that have been kind of uh been played out with the NPCs really come to effect with Unagami. How he's like talking to Milton Dyer, and Milton Dyer is kind of realizing what he had done, and he had apologized. He kind of sees what he had, sees his faults. He gets to see Unagami shapeshift and whatnot. Into the kid was actually really cute. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and my fear is that this is going to be forgotten at the beginning of the next episode, that this basically remotely never happened. I really hope it doesn't. Like, we'll get Okino to show up, maybe Racer 7, um, maybe Unagami. Who knows? We'll see with those two characters, because Milton Dyer is like the chaotic version of Cyrus Borg, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I thought it was a good episode. It's the biggest issue with that episode is that it didn't have enough setup. If it had the proper setup, it would have been easily one of the best finales Ninjago has done. But because we didn't get it,
It's less of
it
a fault with the episode than it is the season in general,
yeah.
basically.
We'll talk about this more when we talk about the whole season in general. But LJ, what did you think?
I feel like we ran into the opposite issue with the last season.
Yeah.
Where the last season,
Yeah.
it was such a fun season throughout, and I felt let down by the finale. this season, I like aspects of the finale, but it was let down by its season. And there were some highlights.
Right. It is inverse.
There were some really good, strong highlights along the way. Excuse me, the episode with Zane. You know, when I'm here in New York City and I'm trying to solve some crime. That I liked that. That was a great episode. There were some other really good episodes, but I feel like the tone was almost set. It was almost set right from the get-go. Right when the ninja were like, Milton Dyer is Unagami. And we never got away from that.
Yeah.
The season didn't... That was the tone setter for the season, and I'm a little disappointed. I'm echoing a lot of what you guys are saying. I definitely think that this season, I like the fact that they're honoring the prior material. However, I feel like they did that really well last season. They did it really well. They were honoring past material while not relying on it. This was a soft reboot. This was not a hard reboot. It was just a way to be like, hey, by the way, this, and this. But now it's not a reboot. It is a continuation. It is just straight up just the way it normally is. And there are two trains of thought to that. There are the people that will like that, and then the people like presumably us, who are like, well, then why bother going through the trouble? Because we're starting to hit a bit of a wall here. Ninjago is coming up on 10 years. I think it's next year.
Yep.
Bionicle lasted 10 years. Mm-hmm. So, Bionicle was canceled in its 9th year, 2009. This is Ninjago's 9th year. I'm just saying, it's a little concerning because we're getting to that point where so much backstory is going to weigh on this franchise. And I worry about where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it to be a complete reboot.
No.
That's not what I want. But they have a problem on their hands because people are saying, in the chat, like Magic saying they never said it was a reboot. You're right. Literally, in the first press release, they said this is not a reboot nor a spin-off. However, everything they proceed to do, they're acting as if it is a reboot. They go on to say it's a brand new adventure, a fresh beginning that helps new viewers watch and discover the magic of Ninjago without knowing much about the 100 episodes prior. We want to make sure that Ninjago is a refreshing experience. It's the beginning of a new chapter in the world of Ninjago, whereas the first chapter was heavily tied to a 22-minute serialized TV format. The next chapter will not be confined to a specific format. The 11-minute episodes allows for new and creative possibilities for the storytelling. Also, with the growth of existing exciting story formats, comics, in-world books, etc., that are extending the Ninjago universe, this new chapter will be more exploratory and creative.
Books?
Haven't really got any of that yet.
Yeah.
Comics, books, new and creative possibilities for the storytelling, all we've seen.
You know what we've gotten? Our shorts. We've gotten those.
We've gotten shorts. We've gotten regular, like, the first chapter was tied to a 22-minute serialized TV format. The next chapter is tied to a 22-minute serialized TV format split in two with bad pacing. Like, that's basically the only difference. We're still getting episodes, it's just the pacing is worse. So I think that if you're judging it like on its merits, I don't think they're doing what they were hoping to do. That's not to say it hasn't been enjoyable, but they did make a big deal, even if it wasn't said to be a reboot, of changing up the status quo, and I would think that would be for a reason. that didn't happen in a vacuum. Something was said in like a corporate meeting where they were like, we have to do this. We have to do this for like the integrity of the theme or the success of the theme. And all we have gotten for it as a meaningful like change is filler episodes.
Yeah.
Some of which are good and they do break things up and are creative. Some of which are bad and they break up the pacing. But that's the only thing we've really gotten.
Yeah. The 11-minute format is both helping and harming Ninjago. It's helping because it has more creative uses for it, but it's harming because I do think it is affecting the pacing in ways that the 22-minute format would not. So this season is the same length as Rebooted. 16 11-minute episodes is the same as 8 22-minute ones. And I think Rebooted is even better than this season.
Easily.
when it comes to pacing. The issue I think is for a Ninjago episode, they have to have action in every single episode, at least once or twice in these 11-minute episodes. In the 22-minute episodes, they would try for one major fight, maybe two little like kerfluffles or kershuffles or whatever it is. And they had more time to kind of like relax, get a sense of, lore, story, character moments. We got to have those like comfort times. And then we would have like a battle per episode. This season is going fast because they have to have a battle per episode. There has to be combat. There has to be something going on. So we don't get those episodes of Jay explaining what they have to do in this world. We don't get an introduction to this world. We don't get like, kind of a warm up to this season, them just lying around doing whatever. We don't get those moments where like we're just slow down. So the pacing is suffering because of it. So that's my biggest complaint with 11 minutes is I would love to go back to 22 because I think Ninjago was more comfortable there, but we would lose probably the more creative stuff that they're able to do, like,
which sucks because like I like the anime episode, I like the Akita episode, I love the Zane, the Zane episode, the little Nelson, the news. Those are all highlights. Like this season didn't really have too much of the filler affecting the pacing thing. I didn't really feel like any of that. So they solved that problem from the last go around.
Yeah.
But at the same time, okay, here's I guess what it all boils down to is this season did not need to be 16 episodes. It needed to be longer.
Yes.
It needed to be a full 30 episode season, or at the very least 20 episodes.
Oh yeah,
I would prefer 30 because they did it last time. I don't see any reason why they didn't have to this time. I see people throwing around the reason of like, well, Fire and Ice were separate. They were two separate, seasons, even if they are part of season 11. And I'm like, they were part of the same set wave.
Yeah.
They were part of the summer sets. Got 30 episodes, but the winter sets only get 16. How does that work? Why? Was it a budgetary restriction? Was it because March of the Oni only had 4, so they were able to have more like in the backlog, and they decided to dedicate that to, Fire and Ice? That's possible, I guess. But this experience, this idea was so creative and so clever and so generally well done that it deserved a full 30. It deserved the time to breathe. And it did not get it. It felt compressed, it felt rushed, and it felt like its ideas weren't given anywhere near the time they needed to develop. But at the same time, there were so many frustrating decisions made, like the shorts. The shorts made up an extra episode, and it was all pointless. Yeah. It was all pointless. The mechanic, all pointless. The mechanic should not have been in this season. And it sucks because early on I was talking about how cool it was that he was in the season. Oh, they're using an old villain and he's finally relevant. He's finally doing things. This is awesome. But then when you see where he actually ends up and you see the effect that he has on everything at the end, he worships a video game, does everything the video game asks of him, and then runs away in terror when what he wanted to happen happens.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we get so much screen time for the mechanic and we saw Unagami twice?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we have gotten the screen time for the mechanic put towards the actual villain instead of the weird other villain?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the mechanic got any development. It's not like he got anything worth writing home about. He was just around. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I learned that much more about him than I did before. But he
Yeah,
just
cryptic.
he ate screen time.
It's like, we know he has a lot of hats now.
Yeah. And then, oh my god, I know it sounds like I'm just railing on about this season, but I can't stop. Scott, I said a few episodes ago, I said I'm confident they're gonna do more with Scott. They have to. I refuse to accept that like his arc really began and ended in that one episode. Guess what? It began and ended in that one episode. He was just a guy. He was a pro gamer who spent 30 years like dodging the action, not wanting to risk his life, only to randomly decide to risk his life because
he wanted to try that hero thing.
He wanted to try the hero thing. Scott is the worst character possibly ever. He has nothing. He has absolutely nothing to do with anything. He's just an edgy guy. He never developed any kind of meaningful like friendship or relationship with the ninja. He had no arc to speak of. He didn't grow. He didn't change. He's literally just a dude, and that infuriates
just Christian Faber. He's just
Faber. I will say a positive thing. Okino was good.
I was gonna say there's one good thing with Scott.
Go on.
And we have this wonderful meme now of we have eliminated the threat known as Scott.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty good.
That's the best thing that has to do with Scott the entire season because
that justifies his existence.
We need a picture of that with the dialogue on the bottom, and then you can just replace Scott with like whatever you want, anything.
Bionicle.
I've eliminated the threat known as Bionicle.
Cancelled. My problems with Scott kind of tie into another big problem with the season, but I'll pepper it out with a little bit of positivity. Okino was awesome.
Yeah.
He was just a treat. He not only saw his arc to completion, but he was competent, he was funny, absolutely hilarious. That one episode he was super depressed and just doing everything like with a frown on his face. Just very compelling for him to do anything.
Yes.
Everything with Okino was very solid, and it did exactly what they were trying to do. However, the reason why that's a problem is because I think Prentice is kind of on my same wavelength. His comment this season wasn't a J season; it was the Okino season. I think the reason why because I could forgive a lot of this stuff. Like there have been seasons I liked before that have half-baked elements. Possession, the whole ghost thing, makes no sense. The fact that water is what like messes with the ghosts, but Possession still had a lot of good aspects when I think back on it. It did a lot of good stuff. There have been times where the Skybound finale, time travel, it undoes stuff, but that doesn't mean Skybound's a bad season. The reason why I think I struggle to like this season as much as everybody else seems to is that not a single ninja went through any kind of arc, struggle, development, or growth.
Nope, that is correct.
Kai didn't go through anything. He was dumb and lost all of his lives. Cole sure didn't go through anything.
He never does.
Lloyd didn't go through anything. Jay and Nia were the focus, but what exactly did they do besides play the game?
Yeah, Jay being the lead of this had no character growth at all, which is like revolutionary for Ninjago. They are usually good about having a character focus or having a character in the season overcome something in the midst of the episodes. This did not happen Exclamation point, period.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I need everybody to be like super like plot integral. Like
Yeah.
we must uncover, another aspect of Lloyd's tragic backstory with Garmadon and somehow relate it to
I
the
wanted
plot at
that with
hand.
Jay.
That's not what I'm talking about. As much as it would have been cool to see them play up Jay's abandonment more,
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessary. Like there are ways you can give people development or growth or struggles without having it take over the season. Case in point, Ice Chapter. In the Ice Chapter, everybody got to do something. It wasn't all the best, it wasn't all the most plot relevant, but everybody got to do something. Cole had his arc about like befriending Crag. It's not like he grew it all from it, but it was a highlight put on Cole's personality. Nia had her whole thing with trying to like bolster her skills to control ice to step up when Zane couldn't because Zane was gone. It didn't go anywhere. It kind of fell apart hilariously, but it was still there. Kai had to deal with his cockiness and whatnot, and then his guilt over like failing the whole village and not being able to save them. Lloyd got to go like befriend Akita. Everybody had their own little thing that they did that contributed to the overall thing. And then even in the fire chapter, like Green Tornado points out, Wu and Asphira, and Kai's stupid like immature plot, which wasn't good, don't get me wrong, but it was something. Those last two chapters did a really good job of giving the ninja stuff to do while not making any one person the key to the season. So I walk away from it feeling like everybody kind of got okay representation and balance. I don't feel like anyone got the shaft necessarily. But this season, it was an Unagami and Okino season where we saw Unagami twice, and that's like not cool.
Yeah.
I like the show for my protagonists. I like them doing things. And when that doing thing is just playing a game, I end up feeling a little bit hollow. So that's probably my biggest complaint. It isn't the lore, it isn't the friggin' digitizing bodies. It's the fact that nobody had to deal with anything. Nobody's character was the focus or the spotlight.
Yeah.
They
Which
just
is,
went through the motions and played the video game.
yeah, it's kind of a shame for Ninjago to have that happen. They're usually really good about it. Having growth, having change. It's what makes Ninjago interesting. I think is what has made it last as long as it has. But we didn't get any of that this season, so it felt like a very empty season. And I do think that this season is going to get forgotten in the sense of the in-world stuff because none of them changed, so there's nothing for them to even talk about. Even like last season or last chapter, like Zane turned evil, became an ice emperor, yada yada yada, and no one even batted an eye at that in the beginning of the season. So,
Yep.
so yeah,
Furnace points out even the Jaya moments feel weird because Nia never returns Jay's affections. He says, "I love you," and she kind of just nods. And I've noticed that a lot. It's happened like 3 times now.
I think she hasn't even said it back, like period.
It's pretty weird.
So it is a little weird. We might get some of that later. I think we heard from Tommy that they're gonna deal with the whole yin yang thing again in the future. Um, but yeah, it's very very one sided. They have really good moments. Like their dance sequence was adorable and it was really well done. And yet Nia, like she she isn't giving anything back to him.
Nope.
Like he's doing all the stuff and she's just like,
It feels a little off-putting.
yeah.
My proposal for how to fix it is pretty simple. I don't hate the idea. I love the idea of Prime Empire. And I love a lot of the moments in this season. If I was given the job to fix this season, I would keep most of it as it is. Minus maybe giving the ninja some more like personal stake. Maybe putting them in situations that actually challenge them as people rather than as players. But that could just be tweaking the variables a little bit. Just like make how they beat the game, have something to do with how they as people approach the problems. It doesn't have to be rocket science. You don't have to change the formula to do it. Just focus more on their characters. My fixing of the season, it would boil down to 3 things. Number 1, cut the shorts. I was not a fan of them. That should have been episode 17. That time spent. Um, in that extra episode, because I presume if they could have done 20 or 30, they would have, but they couldn't for whatever reason. So in that extra episode that you gain from the shorts, have a scene with Unagami, as I prior said. Just interject a scene so you can flush him out a little bit more. And then cut basically everything to do with the mechanic. You can still have him be at the start with like finding the motherboard if you really want to. That's a good like cameo for him. Maybe you could even still have him come back later and be the one to kidnap Zane. But you don't need to have so much focus on him. You don't need to have him spread out across like 4 episodes and a short, all about the mechanic and his lackeys. Just have him be a background player because that's how he always was, and nobody ever complained about it back then. So it's not like people would question, what's the mechanic doing in the background? Like, he's a background villain. He doesn't get a lot of screen time. The focus should be on Unagami and the ninja, not on the mechanic and friggin' Scott
Yeah.
or Racer 7. As cool as they are, when you sacrifice your main characters and your main villain for extras, it's not good. And also, one last thing. Now that we know the full context for the season, the shorts make even less sense because Jay in that one episode already knows something's wrong with the race, even though he just entered the game casually playing it for fun. So they don't even work if you go back and watch them now. They mess up the context. That was a bad idea. Cool experiment, bad idea. Should have just been episode 17.
Yeah. If they want to do shorts, have them be like filler shorts that have like I like the filler ones, like the introducing us to the racers, or oh my goodness, what is her name? The
Racer 7?
Gail.
Oh,
No,
Gail Gossip.
Gail Gossip talking about the video game with little Nelson in there. The dance thing is I honestly think the dancing episode should have been part of the season because of they directly like mention it in the dancing episode, which
it would have been the little bit of downtime that you keep wanting, the little bit of like regular establishment of what people are up to. That would have been it.
Comfort. Yeah. So, but yeah, they needed more time. The fact that we didn't know what the ninja were doing when they entered Okino's world is a huge problem.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah. Suits, they got their weapons, they got information, and we did not see it. We don't even know how they got it. They got the plot of the season, and we did not. And they did not do a very good job explaining what they were going to do.
I presume the League of J told them, but like, is that what everybody's doing? Is everybody trying to get the Kitana to beat Unagami?
Yeah.
What exactly is? I guess that would make sense if he's the boss. I guess it wouldn't be hard for them to figure it out, but we still should have like seen that, because somebody would have asked the question, like, doesn't he just control the game? And they could have hand waved it by going like, well, we're just gonna beat him at his own game or something.
Yeah.
Just to like establish that. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to make it sound like I'm being a jerk about the mechanic, because I like that they're trying to incorporate like additional people from the past and give them more important roles. I'm not against the idea of the mechanic like having such an important role and being part of things. I think it's nice because there have been people in the past who started off as just minor characters who later got more and more of a role. I mean, case in point, friggin' Pixel, Pixel Dareth. Dareth wasn't a minifigure at a certain point, and then eventually he became one because of how prominent he was in the show. It's not unheard of. It's just how it was done, and it's the fact that the main villain feels underutilized as a result of it. The mechanic, he freaking worships a video game character for no reason. We still don't know how the Unagami even got in contact with the mechanic. I guess maybe he stole the arcade cabinet at some point.
Yeah. Might have been like in the hangout and like
through that, I guess, I had the realm of possibility. Maybe one of you two knows the answer to this. What does the motherboard do? Because if the game can run independently of it as it did for all those years, what exactly is the point of the motherboard?
It makes seasons happen, like this one. That's what it does.
It might be like Unagami can exist on his own, but the motherboard is like what transfers that information from like one main hub cabinet to another. Like when the motherboard was plugged into the original Prime Empire cabinet, it was able to like cause that explosion. But you can't do that to any other cabinet with the motherboard. That's why they needed both the main one and the motherboard. But the motherboard, when they plugged it into like the gateway, I would imagine is like that they repurposed all those stuff to like really hone into Unagami, I guess. But I think the motherboard plus the original cabinet were important. It couldn't have been any regular cabinet. But
fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. I don't know. I don't want it to sound like I hated the season because it was creative. I love games. I'm a gamer. I'm an MLG gamer, so a lot of the references, like, it works for me. You know, I'm down for it. The platforming stuff, the fighting game, adventure game, racing game, all the references, that's awesome. The varied scenery and the landmarks, very cool. We had the traditional Ninjago stuff in the Okino episodes. Then we had the crazy high-tech racetracks and the Temple of Madness. You never got sick of a certain location. The animation is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
They're fluid as can be. The music is incredible, featuring some really cool remixes and even some old tunes like the jazzy, beat that was used when they broke out from Chin's place in Tournament of Elements. That comes back. And the comedy. The comedy was freaking on point.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed so hard at so many points. So it's not like it was terrible. I enjoyed it overall, but I do kind of hate to say when I see on Twitter, everybody saying how awesome it is. Like Marvelous Jan gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm like, I wish I could agree. I sadly cannot agree. I think it sits pretty squarely in like the bottom 6 seasons for me. I think the only ones I like less would be like the first 2 seasons, Hands of Time, March of the Oni, and the Ice chapter.
Yeah. I have to agree with you there. This season it stuck the landing, but the whole thing coming down to the landing was just horrifying. It was flailing around, was in multiple pieces, but then it like landed in a kind of a pretty shape at the end.
It's a good way to put it.
But there are definitely good things from this season. There are definitely some high moments, like Lloyd versus Harumi somehow being one of the best fight scenes we've gotten from the show. We've got the League of J, which something we never knew we wanted, but gosh diddly dang, we got it. Kai being, an idiot with his powers was totally
big
a Kai moment. Very big Kai moments. We've got funny moments with, Cole falling, or like his rope thing from March of the Oni coming back.
Their jitsu.
We got Okino. That whole episode with Okino was absolutely fantastic. I hope you guys aren't having an Okino day.
How was your day? It was Okino.
It was Okino. It was an Okino day. But yeah, we needed better pacing. We needed better writing. We needed
even the good stuff that you point out. If you think about it, like, it just falls apart under scrutiny.
Yeah.
Lloyd versus Harumi was awesome. And like, I see people going like, how did the computer like know about Harumi? And I'm like, well, he just read Lloyd's mind. That's not a hard thing to comprehend. People stuff like that happens in stories all the time. But then I think about it. If it read Lloyd's mind, then how did it not know their meeting? Yeah. How did it not know what Lloyd and Harumi did the night they met?
Yeah.
they don't even like they can't even keep the rules consistent for like a season, let alone a season.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
sad.
it's oh boy, this season it had so much potential. Had so much potential. I remember early on I was thinking maybe there's a mission where all the ninja get separated in like this chamber and they all have to like live out their worst fear to kind of tie in with the mirror. And in order to like they have to like succumb to that fear in order to win because they could do that in a video game. And that deals with all their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been
They
cool.
could have really
But
leaned into the simulated angle
yeah.
for the ninjas characters. Instead, they leaned into the video game angle,
Yeah.
which
Very
for anybody who watches this that worked on the team, that's like the part I can say you pretty much did perfectly. There's pretty much
yeah.
nothing I would have done better as far as the video game angle is
You even
concerned.
scared LJ with the platforming part.
Mario
The
restarting from
Mario.
the start.
Don't talk
How
about
you like in World 1-1.
don't talk about my trauma.
Yeah, they got that part right for sure.
Yeah, but it's just the story and how it was delivered.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot better.
So Prime Empire was not at its prime, unfortunately.
And it feels weird because I feel like I'm alone in that. It feels like most people are liking it, which I mean, if you do, more power to you.
Yeah.
I certainly wish I did, but I just,
And
it just
so
didn't
it
click.
was like on the surface it looks good and it's a good season, but when you like think about it, it's just eh.
Just kinda eh.
Just kind of falls apart. Ay 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 ay. Well,
There was another funny thing. I just
yeah.
remembered. It's minor. Don't worry. This one of the people Okino was trying to guide said something to him about the dragon. I think she said she read about it on a gaming blog. And I didn't think too much of it at first, but then I realized the game was never released. So
Oh.
either
I mean, people inside the game might be blogging about it.
Either the blog was old or like, but the people in the game are trapped.
They
I guess
blog in the game, but I don't know if that's possible.
maybe the game has like a social hub. I guess that's not that outside the realm of possibility. Maybe an old dev post on a forum.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
That's about it. That's all I got. I could continue to rant, but you get the gist. It sits squarely in the middle of Ninjago seasons for me. The sheer ingenuity of the premise keeps it from being terrible, but the execution of the premise keeps it from being great. If I had to rate it, I'd literally give it like a 6, because to me a 6 is like slightly above average, which is what I would call this.
We had the same stakes as Skybound with the ninja like dying, but it didn't feel like stakes.
Nope.
Because they weren't growing, they weren't changing because of it. Yeah.
Just think about how the ninja were taken in Skybound versus how the ninja were defeated here, and I think you can kind of get maybe why I feel the way I do. Every time the ninja were taken in Skybound, it was an exploration of their characters.
Except for Cole.
Except for Cole.
I wonder
why.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Big Lamau moment.
Oh my gosh, he was the only one that wasn't challenged by writers. Oh, that hurts.
Cole.
That hurts me down.
One day you'll have character. No, okay.
Versus in the season where like they got shot by people and burned all their lives, or they burned their lives because they were dumb.
Yeah, they burned their lives to support Jay in a race.
It doesn't exactly feel as hard hitting.
Yeah.
Elge, do you have any final thoughts on Prime Empire?
No, you guys have basically said it all. There's really nothing more I can add. I just
respect.
Oh gosh, I'm so tired. I think that there are opportunities for redemption. As in,
I always feel bad going off.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Real quick, it is worth mentioning. Someone, Francis Fu in the YouTube chat said, I think Braggy said on Twitter that the store department does not choose the number of episodes per season, so they have to work around that. But Messo's point is still valid, which That's fair. I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly not blaming the the story team necessarily. I fully acknowledge like production factors that could totally play a role. We can't discount that. Unfortunately, that also doesn't make the problem go away. It
Yeah.
just it just changes like who we blame. But like, I'm not looking to blame anybody or make anybody feel bad. I'm just talking about the product. So I don't blame Braggy for everything. I'm sure he tries his best,
I'm sure
as
he
I'm
Yeah,
sure
it
everyone
does.
does on the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rough because we want to like this so much, and we do like it. Obviously, we're still watching it. We're talking about it, and we definitely just want to see it the best it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Magic says better than season 11. Also, remember the complaints of the filler episodes in season 11, and for season 12, there was barely any filler episodes. Fair. Better than Ice Chapter, not better than Fire Chapter.
Yeah.
That's the line I would draw. Season 11 is one whole season, but for the purpose of my discussion, I usually treat it as two. Um, the stuff in the Fire Chapter was very much like this season. The filler wasn't destructive to the premise. It was in line with it. The opening with the ninja being out of shape, the news, the little Nelson stuff. It was all working towards the threat of you
Mm-hmm.
know, of the fire snakes that was coming and getting them ready for that. Versus the ice chapter, which had the random stuff about the anime episode and the preeminent episode and all that garbo. That's the only reason why the ice chapter is held back. Like, that season was a good season. It was just a bad ending and filler. Um,
Yeah.
the season was a weird season with a good ending and no filler.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, is that it for Prime Empire?
that's it for Prime Empire.
All right. So Prime Empire is over. It had 16 episodes, and we move on to where the ninja could possibly go next. We don't know how many episodes are in the next season. I sure hope it is not 14 episodes because that would make me very sad.
It's
But
probably going to be. That's how it gets broken up.
so the next season, we do not know what the name of the season is. We do know the initials, which is MOM, also mom.
Mom.
It's not about. It's
Mask
not
of Madness.
Yeah. I think Monsters
Masks
of Madness.
I think it's gonna be what is it? Masters of Mino. I think Mino's gonna be the name somehow.
What's Mino?
Because we got the whole new wave of Ninjago coming up, which is like underworld themed. I think it's underworld has got like monsters and goblins and ghosts.
We
and
will be
princesses.
talking about these sets
Yeah.
on a set by set basis on a brick feed this Friday.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of this episode, because we like to keep story and sets separate, we'll be talking about the story ramifications. I linked an article that contains high resolution pictures of a few of the sets. It's not really mandatory to put them all up on the screen.
Mhm.
I would just pick one. Maybe just put this one up if you could, Elge, and then call it a day. Like,
So-
can continue
Wait, which
on.
one you've posted
So
two?
That last one.
Okay.
It's the not the link, the picture. Yeah. The Mino comes from a set, Zane's Mino creature, which is a rhino. That's how I get Masters of Mino. But what we do find out with these sets is that they come together to create a board game. The Spinjitzu spinners work in a way to be a dice. And most of all, we get to see the guy on the box awkwardly in the corner. And we find out that it is gonna be a Cole season. So for the first time in Ninjago history, Cole does get a season/chapter that isn't a special or him like
Has no
falling
sets.
or
Sure.
have no sets. Like this is
Uh-huh.
him. This
Right.
is for him.
But you
Yeah.
know what's really funny about all this is that in the Cole season, he doesn't get a set to his own.
No,
He
he doesn't.
shares a mech with Kai and sits in the
Yes.
back where he belongs.
How dare you?
Backseat.
How dare you? I honestly, when the sets were coming out, I was waiting for like Cole's epic set piece. Like, what is going to be his defined thing from this season?
The
And it
answer was
comes out
nothing.
this bionicle looking mech.
Do you say
That
They
that like
have to
that's a
do it on
bad
purpose.
thing?
Yeah, man,
That
I
is
like
half
my
red and
climax.
half gray. And he's sharing a mech with Kai. With Kai of all people.
Okay. First of all, lady, I don't like the way that you said bionicle looking. That's a good
I
thing.
mean, look at his
That's
face.
high praise. It's a compliment. Second of all, it's not bionicle looking. It's Hero Factory looking. They had Split Beast or well, what's his name? That's
That's true. It was Split Face.
Split Face.
Yeah!
There we go. Yep.
Okay, hold up.
Get it
Hero
right, lady.
Factory on Kai.
Hold up.
Oh boy.
Hold up. You're right.
So we get this shared set. Meanwhile, Zane gets a rhino with rock features on it.
It literally looks like a Cole set that they just took and gave to Zane just to spite. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh, that looks like the exact same set but backwards.
Yeah.
And bigger, of course. But
it's pretty funny.
What the heck?
Split Face, bruh.
Don't you know Split Face Jones? Come on, Haley, keep up.
Oh my gosh. But
this season is going with a very
yes.
It's a very mystical, like fantasy approach.
We've got some great villains with some really unique names. With
yes.
Black.
No.
And Ginkle. How could you forget Ginkle?
Kevin
can't forget
Ginkle.
Ginkle. Oh yeah. Ginkle.
Behold. There he is.
Got?
Ginkle's up top, Black's on bottom. Wait.
Yep.
No, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And I made this image just because YOLO.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no. That's not my image.
That's the same image.
That's the actual
Good job.
image. Oh, no.
Oh.
It's funny.
But
it's really
yeah,
funny.
There we go. Cool.
But, I don't know, man. I love this wave because of the fantasy aspect. It's such a break from like Prime Empire, just in terms of general aesthetic. I do find it a little funny that they're like blending. They're blending from one game into another game because it's very clearly based off like a role-playing game with dice spinners. A lot of people were thinking the two were connected somehow. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the case.
But I think that's just for play, primarily.
Yeah.
I do think there's a reason why they're going the mystical aspect, reason we probably can't talk about yet. But I think another reason might be just to break from the technologically diverse thing with Prime Empire. They want variety. They want to have that variety. They did a similar thing with Rebooted. You know, they had a whole wave which was tech, and then the next wave had like snake temples and old school architecture and tribal like skull masks and stuff. They just like to have diversity.
Yeah, and then the ghost and the pirates. They like going from place to place. Magic Ninja posted a picture. That is Princess Varia.
I think Vania.
Vania.
Maybe it's an R. I don't know.
I don't remember her name, but she is a princess apparently. Oh boy, I already see Cole's mom. Love interest for Cole. Cole's mom. So we get in a set description that the sorcerer is bringing back people from the dead. According to Cole, his mom is dead.
Your desperation is so real.
I'm not desperate. I'm just
You're very desperate.
Because that would be really cool for a Cole season, and he actually deal with his parents. Because we just got a hint that that Jay is thinking of his parents. I would love if we get to see some of that. But then again, I can't hold my breath because this last season was a Jay season, and he got
nothing.
So everyone is going to be laughing when this season is over and Cole is the exact same. He has no growth. He has nothing.
I don't think it'll be physically possible for me to let you live that one down if that happens.
No, absolutely not. That I'd be quite disappointed.
I might laugh until I cry. I don't know yet.
I would not blame you. I'd probably be crying, and then I would be crying so hard I'd turn to laughter.
That's weird.
Hey, look, the ending got leaked. Look.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
Cole with the sword of destiny.
I love the friggin' villain with like the mask and the wings and the hat. I don't know who that is, but I'm hoping it's Klaus.
Yeah,
give me my boy Klaus.
Cole versus Klaus is traditional Tommy, so we'll hopefully get some of that. I say traditional Tommy, it's just Way of the Departed. Cole has no interest with Klaus.
Also, that sword is my new sword, by the way. It's going on my Meso minifigure, which I'm gonna have to make now because it has a friggin' skull.
You have a Meso minifigure. I made you one.
I have a Tyler minifigure. I'm gonna make a Meso minifigure.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh my gosh, fair enough.
Skull face with that sword.
There's skulls everywhere.
There's a freaking skull dragon with a Bionicle Fantoka Tridax Pod rib cage. I'm buying it day one pre-order.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
How many times have you said I'm buying it day one and then actually bought it day one?
Before it even comes out.
LJ.
Meso.
Literally, I was gonna pre-order the Mario set. I was clicking the button, and then it was sold out. If I can pre-order this set, if they put this live at any time, I know this set is not gonna sell as crazy as freaking Lego Mario. This set is mine, delivered to my home, expedited shipping day one. And if I can't pre-order it, I'm gonna sneak into the back at my Target and buy it, so long as it's not on street date.
Yeah, it's
okay. No, fair enough.
Meat dragon.
Gotcha. Cool. Got it.
And that dragon will probably look super epic in the show, and Cole will have nothing to combat it with.
Absolutely.
Yep.
For a mech.
And on that note, that's all I got.
Use your lava mech, Cole.
What
you gotta
lava?
use Kai to do it.
Help. Maybe Kai will let Cole do something.
You know, I sort of liked Kai before this. Kai I thought was a decent character.
Well,
that's no longer the case.
At least he is a character.
So thank you for joining us for today's.
That's all I got.
That'll change after this next season, which I hope is not 14. We don't even know when it's going to come out. I think it's still in production.
It's the summer season, so I read a lot of people thinking that it was going to transition back when I still had a hope and was like, there's no way this season's only 16 episodes. But it did turn out to be, so eggs on my face, I guess. But there's no way they're going to transition right into it because it doesn't come out till like either June or August, which means the season itself won't start until like July or September, depending, because they always wait a little bit. So we're going to be waiting a few months.
Yeah, definitely a few months. So, but we know the theme. We know that it's going to be Cole, hopefully for the first time. And it looks really interesting. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do.
Magic does point out that Kai's mom, Kai and Mia's mom, Maya, is going to be in season 13 because I think Jillian was recording.
Jillian was in it. So either Maya's going to be in it or we got Edna in it. Oh no, Edna isn't Jillian. Is it? Is Edna Jillian? I think Edna is Jillian. It could be Jay's mom. Hopefully it's going to be Maya because we haven't seen her since season 7, which was the season she returned in. But hopefully it's her. But we'll see.
That's all I got to say for now.
Yeah.
On Prime Empire in season 13. Season 13 is awesome. I freaking love it. I'm literally going to buy like every set if I can. I've said that a lot recently, but we'll see. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is this time. But I'll save the reasons for that for Brick Feed because it's very set centric. As for Prime Empire, I wish I liked it more.
Yeah, I wish I liked it more too. Aye.
But never stop trying new things. The variety is good. The ambition is good.
Yes.
The scenery, the environment, non-traditional villains, it's all good. Just it has to be about the characters.
Yes, give us more characters. Give us more characters, please, please, please. Or not give us more characters. Give us more character growth. Weird coming from a Cole fan, but you got to do it. I can make jokes about Cole, even though I'm very sad on the inside.
Aww.
Give us Cole, Cole, please. So, my cake has more character than Cole.
Accurate. It's got more layers, but I'm.
All right.
Wow.
That
is true.
Let's end this.
All right.
I got reviews to make.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no.
I've got homework to do.
I've got.
You got sleep to do, right, MJ?
No, I have reviews to make. I have a video that needs to get done.
Oh boy.
You poor soul. Can we start a campaign? Hashtag give LJ a break 2020.
Yeah, I'd like that, Meso.
What?
I'd like a break from having to host podcasts or making friggin' Bionicle reviews.
I mean, I could try giving you a break from the Bionicle reviews, but you wouldn't take it. And I did try to give you a break from the podcast. You saw how wonderfully that went.
Well, thank you for joining us for today's Ninjagocast. Might be Bionicle in a second. Don't forget to subscribe for some more LEGO content and news. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, you can follow us on Twitter at the TTV channel, so you can get notified when Ninjagocast returns. You can check out the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com for Ninjago boards, Bionicle discussions, all fun stuff. And then finally, we've got a special Discord server for Patreons. You can go to www.patreon.com/TTVchannel to get started. It's like $1 a month to get the Discord channel. You get a Minecraft map with Mana Nui, Voya Nui, and you get to have your discussions on the actual podcast itself, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. So whenever Ninjago comes back, we will be quick to follow. But until then, I am Sensei Wolf.
I'm LJ.
And I am Meso. And one day, I would like to like a finale.
I
think it'd be nice.
Get a good finale.
I really want to. I would just like to be like, this is neat.
Let's hope that Cole season is a game changer for Ninjago. I would love that.
Yeah.
One day you will all see the power of Cole.
Bye, everybody.
I hope you all have a ninja day, and we will see you next time. Adios. Say bye, LJ.
I'm tired.
Bye, LJ.